Hi everyone, Gianni Di Poce here with you for TheoTrade, and today is Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. Well, we are finally starting to see some sell-side action in both the S&P and the Nasdaq, and needless to say, it was very overdue. The S&P topped out yesterday at 74.54 and some change, but today's pullback could hardly be considered as the start of a significant downwave. If anything, I think this is setting us up for a very overdue dip buying opportunity, especially when you consider what transpired in the Nasdaq as of late. In fact, members of Wave Windows were able to close out the first contract long on micro Nasdaq futures. We actually booked 5,291 handles on our NQ longs on Friday when prices hit the upside objective in the Nasdaq at 29,300. We hit an upside target in the Nasdaq 29,300 up to 30,000. We topped out a little bit, almost in the middle of that range, slightly on the lower half of that range. We're pulling back some today. Nasdaq leading the sell-off lower. This is just a logical area for the rally to pause. Do I think this is the start of any significant volatility? No, not at all. In fact, I think the VIX even proves that, considering the VIX is lower on the day, both VIX cash and VIX futures. But when it comes to the Nasdaq now, what I'd be looking for is a little bit of backfilling, perhaps drifting lower into later in the week, perhaps even spilling over into next week. But that next low is a gift. So remember, volatility is the price that we pay to invest, and we're not even really getting serious volatility. But a lot of these high flying, high beta names, they're down off their highs pretty notably. But this is similar to some of the price action that was experienced in the dot-com days, late in the dot-com days. Semiconductors down just under 5%, hitting a new all-time high yesterday. But one thing I keep telling people is don't even talk to me about semiconductors topping out until Nvidia hits at least 250. So I still think there's a lot of time left in this rally when it comes to semiconductors and tech and the overall market. In fact, I think the Nasdaq at this point is setting itself up to rally above 32,000 by the end of the year. Now, I do think that the summer months are going to be a bullish period. I think that we could even see some irrational exuberance creep in before we see some more volatility getting closer to the midterms. Let's not forget it is a midterm year, but the price action that we're seeing today is very much one of rotation. The Dow futures barely down on the day, same for Dow cash. But what I'm watching right now is this setup here in the Dow. In fact, it actually just turned positive there for a brief second. Let's see if we can actually flip as we're doing this. But this setup here in the Dow, this is a really good sign what we're seeing right now, because we've been making higher highs and higher lows since the market bottom at the end of March. And now we formed into what's called an ascending triangle pattern. Now, these patterns get classified into the realm of continuations. Continuations of what? Continuations of the trend. Well, the trend in this case is up, and it's the only major U.S. index that has not made a new all-time high yet. So if we can take out that high from last week, it actually points to a rally up to 52,000, 52,500. So what I am looking for now is for the S&P and the Nasdaq to go sideways for a little bit, perhaps drift lower, reset. We have some sentiment surveys coming out in a couple of days. I think it'd be great to see those tech-heavy indices lower. Meanwhile, the Dow takes over leadership over the next couple of weeks and hits new all-time highs. That would further confirm the price action in favor of the bulls. Technology was once again the top-performing sector in the entire market last week. And if it wasn't for today's sell-off, for a moment there, we had actually closed the performance spread between tech and energy year to date. So coming into this week, it was not even a 0.5% difference between technology and energy in terms of year to date performance. Now, for context, just a couple of weeks ago, the performance gap, their spread between the two sectors was double digits. That's how strong tech has been. That's how weak energy has been. But obviously, crude oil is seeing a bid here today, and that's helping lift the energy sector a bit higher. So we're coming back into that 100, 105 level in crude oil. We do have some important meetings this week with Trump and Xi Jinping of China, along with an A-list of CEOs from the United States. So should be a really important meeting. We know that optics matter to both parties in this case. But what I'm watching here in crude oil is the 100 to 105 level. As long as we don't get back above there, I'm still not ruling out the possibility of a final washout lower into month end where we perhaps even test this low from April 17th. But let me tell you what, you get above 105, you close above there, you're probably going to 125 sooner than we think, and it's probably going to coincide with some greater volatility in the overall market. So that's not the only important thing happening this week. We had some inflation data come in slightly above estimates. I don't think we've seen the full consequences of energy creep into the inflation data just yet. Give it a little bit more time. But we also have a vote on the Clarity Act this week, which is very important legislation for crypto. Bitcoin still stuck. Can't really seem to close and stay above 80 to 82,000, but above 74, 76,000, I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. Now, the danger is whether this turns into a classical setup of buy the rumor, sell the news in Bitcoin. Ethereum never made a new high this month. That's a bit of a warning sign, but amazingly, we're still seeing a lot better setups and performance from various crypto mining stocks. So worth keeping an eye on. It may even be a consequence of a lot of these companies shifting more towards AI, but just things to keep an eye on. If we are going to see crypto really accelerate and be that final bullish domino to fall, I look for the Clarity Act to be a catalyst for that break higher. I also wrote an article about this past weekend. The next phase of the AI trade, I think, is going to have a lot to do with uranium. Of course, we saw this theme play out last year, but if you look at this setup here in the global uranium ETF, it's just been one of sideways action and consolidation. If you go back and look, we've basically done nothing since October. Meanwhile, the original part of the AI trade, semiconductors and other adjacent companies and stocks have ripped to new highs. So I'm looking for these uranium stocks to really start accelerating again. Keep an eye on these. We're talking about these setups in the Trinity trade, playing them in the $1 million challenge. But, big picture, I think we're setting up for a big dip buying opportunity this week. Like I said, we already captured a nice 5,291 point gain on the first wave window contract that we closed there. And the big risk continues to be crude oil. You're seeing bonds test last week's lows. I don't want to see those taken out to the downside. We'll see. Perhaps it has something to do with the meeting in China. We'll see. But then you have the dollar benefiting from higher oil prices. Again, we've been talking about this setup for quite some time. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. Higher crude oil means higher dollar, stronger dollar. You have the Bank of Japan intervening. And I even spent some time yesterday talking about how the last 5 occurrences of intervention from the Bank of Japan occurred, not far from current price levels. That 160 to 162 level is an area they are defending vehemently. And you even had them intervene back here in October of 2022, a few times in 2024 right there. And then just most recently, actually twice, it wasn't just the Bank of Japan, but also Japan's Ministry of Finance that intervened on these big pullbacks here. So we'll see the market continues to call Japan's bluff on this as interest rates on the Japanese government bonds continue to rally. They're trying to support this. My best case scenario is you see this drift sideways with even a slight bullish bias in the yen into the summer. And then I think this fall, we're going to have to buckle up for some more craziness in the market. So that's what I have for today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the trade desk. Take care, everyone.